As a leader, is it imperative that you dress for success? Well, I always wear a jacket. Hello again, everyone. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, we lead, and we inspire. And we are in the midst of a series based upon the book Leadership Secrets of Attila the Hun by Wess Roberts, PhD. And we're on a chapter concerning appearance. So let's get right to it. Attila's presence was felt whenever he rode or rested. He was not only a Hun, he was the most distinguished Hun of all. Scorning the pompous garb of noble Romans, Attila attired himself in the simple, crude skins of animals, which was the custom of his people. Even his crown as king was one of simple leather helmet adorned by only a single feather. It was a headgear similar to that of his warriors. It is the custom of all followers to expect their leaders to be marked at times with armament that distinguishes them from the masses in the court or on the battlefield. It is wise, however, that such distinction not be offensive to warriors and not provide the fuel to ignite the destructive spirit of the opposition in negotiations or on the field while in battle. Therefore, as we chat around the campfire, lighted for your learning and understanding, I will share my observations with you concerning the appearance of chieftains. So I'm going to give you some statements from the book and then talk a little bit about some reality here, okay? Let's have a little fun. A chieftain neither dresses nor arms himself at the expense of his Huns. His dress and weaponry may be of subtle distinction as is accepted by custom, yet it must never be offensive in its cost or in its style, nor should its intent be to project ignoble superiority over those he leads, lest they scorn him for it. You know, when I think of that little passage, two leaders come to mind right off the top. The first one is Fidel Castro, who was the dictator of Cuba. And whenever you saw Castro, he was always dressed in fatigues. Now, you know that Mr. Castro is the leader of Cuba for, 20, 30, 40 years, however long he was the leader there. Had the wherewithal, had the money, the wherewithal to dress very sharp. But when he was making his public appearances, when he was talking to the people, always in uniform. Hey, I'm one of you. I'm the general, but I'm one of you. Another leader like that came to mind was Gandhi. Now, Gandhi started off as a lawyer, as an attorney, and at the end of his life, he's dressed, in the garb of the peasants of India. That was how he wanted to portray himself. You follow what I'm saying? So the clothes you wear make a statement. A chieftain should choose a well-made sword, not one glittering with jewels and gold, but one honed to a sharp edge and made of the finest material in the land. A sword is the mark of a chieftain. His sword, like the chieftain himself, must prevail in battle. A chieftain should dress in fine skins and furs, not those draped by gold and silver ornaments. Pompous appearance breeds hate and gives rise to contempt and laughter among the ranks. Okay, when we're talking about appearance of a leader, remember, one of the things that people are asking that, you're the leader, you're the boss, you want people to produce for you, and they are looking to be productive, but they're also looking to advance. So the question that they're always asking themselves, if they're ambitious people, is, do I want to be like him? Do I want to be like her? And your dress is important that way. But in addition to that, we don't carry swords anymore, but you have a car, you have a phone, you have, different things, little things that you take with you. Make your little things worthy of leadership. One of the things that Bob Anderson insisted upon with me was go out, get yourself a nice car. It doesn't have to be flashy, but get yourself a nice car. So when people come in and they see you in that car, they say to themselves, that's a nice car. I'd like a car like that. I'd like to be like that. You follow what I'm saying? And the other thing he liked about it was when people would go out and get cars, obviously they have to pay for the car. That makes them want to work that much harder because they have extra bills to pay. That was his strategy. Okay? If it's necessary to appear as ferocious savages in order to project courage and victorious purpose, then do it well. Hunting chieftains should wear the most barbaric of all furs, robes, and other apparel. Such appearance further serves to destroy the will of the enemy. The proper uniform, all right? Those of you that know me know that I'm not exactly, Mr. Blackwell, the number one dress expert. But in a given situation, you have to be conscious of your attire. When I was leading an office, always three-piece suit, man. When people came into the office, I'm wearing a three-piece suit. They knew, hey, this is the guy. This is the guy. He looks sharp, not flashy, but sharp and comfortable in the clothing. Be comfortable in that clothing. Does that make sense? You have to have the proper uniform when you're a leader. If it's appropriate to dress as peaceful, pastoral peoples for the purpose of reign in your camp or in negotiations with strangers, lay aside your barbaric attire and clothe yourself in furs and robes fitting the occasion. I would have my people go out in the field. They were, I would be in the office training them, so on and so forth, and then at 5 o'clock, close the office, they would be hitting the field. And I would go out in the field to meet them for sort of a regroup meeting, and always was dressed in a shirt and tie. Now at 5 o'clock when I went home, which was relatively close to the office, first thing I did was like, hey, take off the three-piece suit. But when I went back to that meeting, I always had on a shirt and tie. Why? Because people get annoyed and, well, Nero, I'm out working and this guy, you follow what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. The attitudes of your people, it's a big factor. When on the hunt, be prepared to hunt. Take your best bow and lance. Wear the clothing that will serve you well as you chase the wild beasts in the forest. Okay, I'm going to give you 2 examples with that. Now, when I used to go out on my own as a representative, I would always take my tie and undo it a little bit and have a pencil behind my ear. I mean, this was done on purpose. I have a pencil behind my ear. And so when I would knock on a door, people would look at me and they would say, they would say, all right, here's like a regular guy. This is not like some fancy schmancy guy coming to the door. And it helped me to identify with our customers who were Joey Lunchbucket. They say, he's wearing a shirt and tie, but he's got it loosened the way I would have it loosened. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, when I would go out in the field with one of my leaders because they were having, let's say, some challenging times writing business, I always made sure to be dressed to the nines. Because then when we went into the house, they could say, and I told them to say this, they could say, you know what, I'm going to be making a presentation and this is my boss, so even if you don't like it, pretend like you like it, make a little joke. And then I would sit there and it gave credibility to what they were saying. It made it so much easier for them to sell. Does that make sense? All right, here's my boss, he's watching me. So if he's watching me, he must be telling you the truth. I must be telling you the truth. And this is the product, this is worthy. And then of course, if they had a question, sometimes I would, answer the question and it had instant credibility because I was the boss. On the occasion of celebration, it is customary for a chieftain to wear his finest furs and well-tanned skins. Again, An ignoble superior attitude will only evoke disdain from the gathered and distract from the celebration. Whenever we would go to, as leaders, we'd have a meeting, or there would be a big company-wide meeting. And invariably, there's the meeting, everybody's in a suit and tie, nice dresses, someone's business attire. And then they always had some sort of a, like a barbecue or, something informal. When you go to a baseball game, you must take care that your casual clothes are sharp. Make sure that your casual clothes are sharp. I would always make, I'm not like a guy that's a shopper, as one can tell, all right? I'm not one of those guys, but when I was on those occasions, I would always go out before and make sure that my clothes were sharp. Does that make sense? Because you're the leader, you're not wearing the suit and tie, but what are you wearing now? What are you wearing now? All right, so you want to, be sharp dresser. It shouldn't be that way, but that's the way it is. The way people dress definitely has a factor. A chieftain who appears to be noble will be treated as such by both Hun and foe. One who appears as a jester of the courts will receive deference as the same. How you carry yourself matters. It's critical. As a leader, always in control, always calm, always ready with a little joke, always ready with a little pat on the back. Do you follow what I'm saying? It's when you're in these kinds of situations as a leader, when you're in a casual situation, remember, they're always asking the same question. If you have people in your organization that you're building and you want it to improve, the best way is to replace yourself. Have people do what you can do so you can be more creative, so that you can advance. All right? When you help other people advance, when you develop other people, the company says, hey, this guy's developing other people. Let's move him up. Let's have him develop more people. Always remember that the question that your subordinates are asking themselves is, do I want to be him or do I want to be her? These observations have served me well as your king. Insignificant as they may seem, dress and armament are important to a chieftain and will be counted in the measure of your success or failure. Next time we get together, more leadership secrets. And because it's so important, don't ration the passion, fashion the passion. I'm Eli's dad.